The Silent Arrival. The Storie Empire had conquered worlds for 3,000 years. Their black warships, each the size of a small moon, had brought entire civilizations to their knees. Star systems fell like autumn leaves before their technological might. No species had ever resisted their advance for more than a solar cycle. When High Commander Vexera set her crimson eyes on the blue marble called Earth, she expected nothing different. The Armada emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system like predators stalking prey. 500 vessels strong, they formed perfect geometric patterns against the backdrop of stars. Their hulls gleamed with weapons that could crack continents and shields that had never been breached. The Storie had studied Earth from afar. They knew about the divided nations, the primitive rockets, the fragile atmosphere. This would be their easiest conquest yet. On Earth, Dr. Marcus Chen sat in the Arecibo Observatory's rebuilt control room, his coffee growing cold as he stared at the impossible readings on his screen. The gravitational distortions were unlike anything in the textbooks. His hands trembled as he reached for the secure phone that connected directly to the United Nations Space Defense Council. "We have visitors," he said simply. Those 3 words would change everything. Within hours, every major telescope on Earth turned toward the outer solar system. Amateur astronomers posted blurry images online that governments quickly tried to suppress. But the truth was too vast to hide. An alien fleet had arrived, and it was massive. The Storie expected panic. They expected desperate broadcasts begging for mercy. They expected hastily launched nuclear weapons that their shields would swat aside like insects. Instead, Earth fell silent. No radio transmissions reached the fleet. No missiles launched. No fighters scrambled. The planet continued its rotation as if nothing had changed. Cities glowed with their usual lights. Satellites maintained their orbits. Ships sailed the oceans. Planes crossed the skies. Commander Vexera's scaled brow furrowed in confusion. In her 800 years of military service, she had never encountered such a response. Or rather, such a lack of response. Her tactical officers ran scan after scan, searching for hidden weapons, underground bunkers, or mass evacuations. They found nothing unusual. "Perhaps they don't comprehend the threat," suggested Sub-Commander Krell, his mandibles clicking nervously. "Their technology may be too primitive to detect us properly." Vexera's laugh was like grinding metal. "Then we shall educate them. Broadcast the standard surrender terms on all frequencies. Let them know their fate." But Earth already knew. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in bunkers that didn't appear on any civilian maps, humanity's true leaders gathered. They represented no single nation, but rather a united Earth that had existed in shadow since the first atomic bomb exploded. The Terran Defense Initiative had waited 70 years for this moment. General Sarah Mitchell stood before a holographic display showing the alien fleet's positions. Her weathered face betrayed no emotion as she spoke to the assembled leaders. "Ladies and gentlemen, Operation Prometheus is now active. Everything we've prepared for is happening. The question isn't whether we can win. The question is whether we're ready to show the universe what humanity truly is." Around the table, heads nodded grimly. For decades, reverse-engineered technology from recovered craft had advanced human capabilities far beyond what the public knew. The secret colonies on Mars, the fusion reactors hidden beneath the oceans, the quantum computers that made current technology look like stone tools, all of it had led to this moment. "Send the Whisper," Mitchell ordered. The Whisper was humanity's first message to the Storie. It wasn't sent by radio or laser or any conventional means. Instead, it appeared directly in the mind of every being aboard the alien fleet. The message was simple, transmitted in perfect Storie dialect. "We see you. Turn back. This is your only warning." Vexera's ship erupted in chaos. Officers scrambled to find the source of the transmission. Security teams searched for intruders. Engineers tore apart communication systems, looking for hidden devices. They found nothing. The message had simply appeared, as if the universe itself had spoken. For the first time in her long life, Vexera felt a flutter of uncertainty. No species they had encountered possessed such technology. Telepathic races existed, but none could project thoughts across the vast distances of space. The Cathori had thought themselves masters of the galaxy. Now doubt crept in like a cold wind. Then the disappearances began. The escort destroyer Swift Talon vanished first. One moment it was maintaining formation. The next it was gone. No explosion, no debris field, no distress signal. The space it had occupied was simply empty. Before Vexera could demand answers, 2 more ships winked out of existence. Panic spread through the fleet like wildfire. The Cathori were vanishing, and their advanced sensors could detect nothing. No weapons fire, no energy signatures, no spatial distortions. Ships were there, and then they weren't. On Earth, in a facility that officially didn't exist, Dr. Yuki Tanaka monitored the quantum field generators with satisfaction. "Dimensional shunting is working perfectly," she reported. "We're moving their ships into pocket universes. They're unharmed but completely isolated." The technology had taken 40 years to perfect, built on principles Einstein had only dreamed of. Humanity hadn't just been waiting for alien contact. They had been preparing for invasion. Every crashed UFO, every abduction report, every mysterious signal from space had been carefully studied. Earth knew the universe was dangerous, and humans had done what they did best. They adapted. As more Cathori ships vanished, Vexera ordered a full stop. Her fleet, once proud and confident, now huddled together like frightened animals. The empire that had never known defeat was learning what fear felt like. Then the ocean began to glow. From orbit, the Cathori watched in stunned silence as Earth's oceans lit up with a soft blue radiance. The glow intensified around certain coordinates: the Mariana Trench, the Puerto Rico Trench, the Java Trench. Something was awakening in the deep places of the world. Sarah Lim, now head of Project Leviathan, watched her screens with grim satisfaction. The automated systems left by Earth's previous visitors were activating after 10,000 years of dormancy. Humanity hadn't built these defenses. They had inherited them, studied them, and learned to control them. Massive structures rose from the ocean floors. Towers of unknown metal reached toward the surface, crackling with energies that made the Cathori's weapons look like firecrackers. Platforms emerged, each one the size of a city, hovering on cushions of manipulated gravity. The truth was more incredible than any science fiction. Earth had been a battlefield before, host to a war between ancient races when humanity was still learning to make fire. The victors had left their weapons behind, buried deep and programmed to activate if Earth was ever threatened again. Humans had found these gifts and spent generations learning their secrets. "Ma'am," an officer called to Vexera, his voice shaking. "The energy readings from those structures, they're beyond anything in our database. The power output it's impossible." Vexera stared at the tactical display, watching as more structures emerged from Earth's hidden places. Mountains split open to reveal gleaming metal. Deserts rippled as buried facilities pushed toward the surface. The planet was transforming before their eyes, shedding its disguise like a predator dropping its camouflage. "What are you?" she whispered, her question directed at the blue world that no longer seemed primitive or helpless. As if in answer, Earth's true defense grid activated. Satellites that had pretended to be communication relays revealed weapons arrays. The moon's craters opened to expose massive cannons. Mars flickered as its holographic disguise failed, showing industrial complexes and shipyards. The Cathori Empire had come to conquer a primitive world. Instead, they had awakened something ancient, something patient, something that had been waiting in the darkness between the stars. And at its heart were humans, young by galactic standards but inheritors of technologies and knowledge from races that had transcended physical existence eons ago. As the first Cathori ship tried to retreat, space itself seemed to grab hold of it. The vessel froze in place, caught in a gravity well that shouldn't exist. Around it, Reality bent and twisted as humanity revealed just a fraction of what they had learned from their ancient benefactors. The invasion of Earth had begun, but it was not unfolding as anyone in the galaxy could have predicted. The Cathori had expected to find prey. Instead, they had awakened dragons. The galaxy remembers. The Cathori fleet hung motionless in space, trapped by gravitational fields that defied physics. Commander Vexera stood rigid on her command deck, watching as Earth's transformation continued. The planet that had seemed so vulnerable now bristled with technologies that made their own achievements look primitive. Her pride, built over centuries of conquest, crumbled like ancient parchment. "High Commander," her science officer reported, his voice barely a whisper, "the energy patterns from those structures. They match theoretical models of Type Ia civilization technology. But that's impossible. The humans are barely Type I." Vexera's scales shifted to a pale gray, the Cathori expression of deep fear. She had studied the classifications. Type Ia civilizations could harness the power of entire galaxies. If Earth possessed such technology, then everything the Cathori knew about the universe was wrong. On Earth, in the Central Command Facility, General Mitchell addressed the world's leaders through secure channels. "The Cathori have made their choice. They came as conquerors. They will leave as witnesses." She turned to her staff. "Begin Phase 2. Show them why Earth was chosen." The first shot came not from Earth, but from its moon. A beam of coherent energy, impossibly bright, lanced out from Tycho crater. It struck the Cathori flagship's shields with surgical precision. The shields, designed to withstand supernovas, flickered and failed like cheap electronics. But the beam didn't destroy the ship. Instead, it passed through the hull harmlessly, touching every living being aboard. In that instant, the Cathori experienced something unprecedented. They felt the collective consciousness of humanity. 7 billion minds united in purpose, speaking with one voice. "We do not wish for war, but we will not allow our freedom to be taken." Across the galaxy, monitoring stations detected the energy spike. The Galactic Council, a loose alliance of advanced civilizations, turned their attention to the Sol system. They had been watching humanity's development with bemused interest, classifying them as a young, isolated species still trapped on their homeworld. Now, ancient races that had witnessed the birth of stars sat up in alarm. The Cathori tried to respond with force. Vexera, shaken but still defiant, ordered a full bombardment. Thousands of plasma cannons charged, missiles armed with antimatter warheads locked onto targets, and fighters launched from carrier bays. It was enough firepower to sterilize a planet. They never got the chance to fire. From Earth's oceans, the awakened defenses responded, not with violence, but with something far more devastating. Beams of exotic energy reached out to the Cathori weapons and simply turned them off. Plasma cannons went cold. Missiles floated harmlessly in space, their warheads inert. Fighters found their engines silent, drifting like leaves on a still pond. Dr. Tanaka watched the readings with satisfaction. "Quantum state manipulation successful. We've reduced their weapons to their base components without damaging the ships themselves. They're unharmed but completely defenseless." It was a display of power that sent shockwaves through the galactic community. Weapons neutralization on this scale required understanding of matter at the subatomic level that most civilizations took millennia to achieve. Yet humanity wielded it with precision, showing mercy even in the face of attempted genocide. The Cathori fleet, pride of an empire that had never known defeat, floated helplessly in Earth's orbit. For the first time in their history, they were at the mercy of another species, and that species chose not to destroy them. Instead, Earth broadcast a message, not just to the Cathori, but to every inhabited world in the galaxy. The transmission penetrated shields, bypassed encryption, and appeared on every screen, in every mind, in every language simultaneously. The face that appeared was not a general or politician, but a child. 8-year-old Maria Santos from Sao Paulo smiled at the camera with innocent confidence. "My name is Maria," she said. "I speak for Earth's children. We know you're scared of us now, but we don't want to hurt anyone. We just want to explore the stars and make friends. Will you be our friends?" The juxtaposition was devastating. Here was a species with power that terrified the galaxy's greatest empire, speaking through a child asking for friendship. The message continued, showing Earth's history, not the sanitized version, but the real struggle of a species that had nearly destroyed itself countless times, but always chose to survive, to grow, to hope. On distant worlds, ancient beings watched in amazement. The Velar Collective, a race of pure energy that had transcended physical form eons ago, convened for the first time in a millennium. The humans, their consensus voice resonated. They have the power of gods, but the hearts of children. How is this possible? The answer lay in Earth's hidden history. The planet had been a nexus point in an ancient war, a place where desperate races had made their last stand against an enemy now forgotten. They had won, but at great cost, leaving behind their weapons and technology with a simple message. For those who come after, may you use these gifts more wisely than we did. Humanity had found these gifts slowly, carefully. Each discovery came with records, warnings, and most importantly, lessons. The ancient races hadn't just left weapons, they had left wisdom. And humans, perhaps uniquely in the galaxy, had listened. As Earth's message continued, showing their art, music, science, and dreams, something unprecedented happened. The Cathori began to cry. The empire built on conquest and domination felt, for the first time, what their victims had felt. But instead of the fear they had inflicted on others, they felt shame. Vexera's voice broke the silence on her command deck. "Open a channel to Earth. Full diplomatic protocols." When the connection established, she did something no Cathori commander had ever done. She bowed her head. "We apologize. We came as conquerors. We leave as students. Please, teach us what you have learned." Earth's response came through Admiral Chen, humanity's first official ambassador to the galactic community. "Your apology is accepted. Your ships will be released unharmed. But know this, Earth's protection extends to all peaceful worlds. The age of conquest is over. The age of cooperation begins now." The quantum fields holding the Cathori ships released their grip. One by one, the vessels regained power. But none fired. None fled. They waited, uncertain, humbled by their encounter with a species that had chosen mercy over vengeance. What happened next reshaped galactic politics forever. Earth opened its first embassy on the Cathori homeworld. Human teachers shared their unique perspective on the ancient technologies. The weapons that could destroy worlds were repurposed to terraform dead planets. The dimensional shunting technology became the foundation for instantaneous travel between stars. The Galactic Council, observing these developments, issued an unprecedented invitation. Earth was offered a seat on the council, not as a junior member, but as a full partner. The ceremony was broadcast to every inhabited world. As Earth's representative took their seat, not a military leader or politician, but a poet named David Kim, he spoke words that would echo through history. "We humans have a saying, with great power comes great responsibility. We accept this responsibility not as rulers, but as guardians. The stars are vast enough for all of us. But the true measure of Earth's impact came from an unexpected source. On a small world at the galaxy's edge, a young Salani child looked up at the stars and asked her parent, "Are the humans really as kind as they say?" The parent, old enough to remember when the Cathori had conquered their world, smiled. "Yes, little one. The humans taught the galaxy something we had forgotten. Strength without compassion is not strength at all. It is fear wearing a mask." Within a generation, the term human became synonymous with protector in 100 languages. Worlds that had lived in fear of invasion now slept peacefully, knowing that Earth watched over them. The ancient defense network, inherited from races lost to time, found new purpose under human guidance. The Cathori Empire, once feared across the galaxy, transformed into the Cathori Federation, dedicated to undoing the damage of their conquests. Vexera herself became a close friend of humanity, spending her final years teaching at Earth's first interstellar university. In the grand archives of the Galactic Library, a new volume was added to the chronicles of significant events. Its title was simple: The Day the Galaxy Met Humanity. But those who read it knew it should have been called The Day the Galaxy Learned to Hope Again. Years later, when young species emerged from their homeworlds filled with dreams of conquest, they would be taken to Earth, not to be threatened or intimidated, but to visit the Museum of Galactic Friendship. There they would see the Cathori ships, preserved exactly as they had been on that fateful day. Weapons powered down, crews unharmed, pride humbled but dignity intact. The message was clear: Earth had the power to destroy, but chose to heal. They had the strength to conquer, but chose to protect. They had inherited the weapons of gods, but kept the hearts of children. And so the galaxy learned what humanity had always known: the greatest strength isn't in the ability to destroy your enemies, but in the courage to transform them into friends. The stars, once filled with the silence of fear, now hummed with the music of cooperation. Species that had hidden now ventured forth. Civilizations that had built walls now opened doors. The invasion fleet had come to Earth expecting to write another chapter in their history of conquest. Instead, they became part of humanity's greatest story, not as victims or vanquished foes, but as the first to learn what the galaxy would never forget. When humanity joined the stars, they'd brought with them something more powerful than any weapon. They'd brought hope.